Good morning, or good afternoon, actually.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Allen. Miss Allen's muted.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Hi.
Janelle, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
It's weird because I can't hear you. Hmm. Hmm. Teresa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Miss Allen.
It's weird. Hmm. Hey, Teresa, I'm just going to send you an email. Yeah, I can't hear. I can't hear anything. Let me make sure. See, I'm on the laptop.
You know, Teresa's muted right now. You know that, right?
I have it on 91.
Yes.
Okay. And Miss Gaskin is not there at
Yeah, it
all.
says speaker/headphones, Realtek audio in parentheses.
She is there. She's being incognito at this point because we can't see her.
I don't have the best lighting in here.
Is that right?
No.
That's right.
Why don't you admit you just don't want to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Hi, how are you, Linelda?
Good. How are you?
Good so far. Good afternoon, Miss Braun. Miss Braun, good afternoon.
Connecting.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nice colory wall.
Yes, I love it. It's dark orange.
That's not looks raspberry from here, but that's
No,
okay.
no, no. It's really dark orange.
It's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice.
I like it. Thank you. And the bottom is the same. My wood floor is the same.
Hmm.
It's an orange room.
Interesting. The whole room is orange?
No, the walls are white, but the floor and that one wall, it's only one wall.
It's an accent. That's really nice.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So I had a little bit of deja vu when I saw the email from Mr. What was his name?
Patrick.
Patek, yes.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to mispronounce his name. Is that the way you pronounce it, Janelle?
Patek?
Patek?
Yes, but can we wait until the meeting actually starts before
Okay.
we?
Well, I was just asking you, this has nothing to do with the meeting.
Paddock, yes.
Before you invite him to the conference, invite the public as well. Mhm.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi. Okay.
we hear you.
Okay. Great.
Okay, everyone, just to make sure that you guys are aware, you are live right now. Okay. Real quick, can everybody see me okay? Because I just added an extra light. It's a little dark in here.
We can see you fine.
Great.
Took a while to get in.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stern.
Good afternoon to you.
Good
We're
afternoon.
all wearing our winter clothes or our northern clothes.
For good cause.
Okay, Chairperson Parks, you can start the meeting. I just received an email from Member Matthewman that she's not feeling well, will not be attending. And Halpern has a conference that he's doing last minute, so we'll have
Do
to
we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board regular meeting on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 at 1 p.m. And because this is the first meeting of the year, Happy New Year to all residents of Highland
Same
Beach.
to you and
Maybe-
healthy.
Happy New Year.
Yes. At this point, I'm going to ask you all to silence your cell phones so as to avoid, affecting the actual meeting. And obviously, let us know if there's any questions or concerns regarding audio or visual during the meeting. Going forward, there's a roll call. Ms. Thompson, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Member Ammerling Stern,
Present.
Member Matthewman, Member Halpern, Member Braun,
Yes, here.
Vice Chairperson Mirage,
Here.
and Chairperson Parks.
Present. Thank you. The first item on our agenda for this afternoon is going to be the approval of the agenda itself. Is there a motion? to
Chairperson
accept-
Parks, I'm sorry, you skipped the pledge.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Please, of course, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Ms. Thompson, was I supposed to say the pledge or were you supposed to say the pledge? I didn't realize. I should have inquired. I apologize.
Typically, everyone says the pledge.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Anyway, welcome to the meeting to all and to anyone who happens to be viewing us from Highland Beach or interested in this meeting from Highland Beach. We hope that the residents of our town take an active interest in attending these meetings and learning more about what we are here for and what we're attempting to do. At this point, I'm going to ask for the agenda matter to be approved. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda anyone would like to put forward? Do I have any additions, Ms. Stern?
No.
Ms. Mirage?
No,
Ms. Braun?
no.
The only matter, I don't know whether it's an addition or deletion, but I'd like to rearrange the agenda to some degree. Ms. Thompson, is that something I should do at this point?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. Insofar as it was somewhat of a late item, there's a beach access item which has currently been presented as item number 9B, which comes along with some information effectively given to me to the board or presented to the board by me. I'd like to move that forward to facilitate the consistency of that matter after the public comments, because I believe they'll be germane to the public comments that are being raised by a resident of our town. So on that note, insofar as public comments are going to be agenda, excuse me one second, agenda item number, let's see,
So are you going
5.
to move that up to presentations?
Well,
Because
after,
slot.
right, you can make it after president. Well, you see that there's two things that I have a concern with about this agenda. I would approve the minute, I would personally have appreciated approving the minutes now and moving that forward to the actual, but before public comments. And then after public comments, have presentations, of which I'd like this to be a presentation. Is that acceptable?
Okay, so
to
you'd
you?
like to move approval of the minutes to
Get
item
that out of the way, right?
agenda?
Can we usually do
Yeah.
that?
We don't typically move the agenda that way, public
No,
comment.
but I mean, you're approving the minutes of a previous meeting before you start the new meeting.
Yes. Yes, we always approve the,
That's how I always do it in a corporate in a corporate board meeting. That's why I personally would like to get out of that's not even old business. That's a matter of necessity. So I'd like to advance the approval of the minutes to ahead of the actual public comments. And then when the public comments can go forward, then put a presentation. And under 7, I'd like to actually move topic 9B to 7, if you don't mind.
Mr. Parks,
Mm-hmm.
this is Lanelda. Normally, you have the liberty to move the agenda order. However, there is a standard order that we usually flow by, but you can move it. Just be clear on the record where you're moving the items to so the public can follow.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Gaskins.
Thank you.
okay, so just for clarification, Chairperson Parks, we're moving the approval of the minutes to item number 5. We're moving public comments to item 6. And we are moving item 9B, beach access to presentations under 7A, correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
Thank you. Whenever you're ready, we can go forward.
okay, I got it.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the meeting from this?
So we need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I
Okay.
so approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Actually, we want a second, we have a second on the motion.
I seconded.
A
Thank
vote,
you.
please.
Thank you.
Do we have a vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Other than that change, as the agenda as it's presented now in its revised format acceptable to the board?
Yes.
All in favor say yes.
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 Thank you.
Yes.
Going now to what's now new topic number 5, or approval of minutes, which is now topic number 5. And by the way, I apologize to the public who may be watching this meeting, and also to the staff who's very patient with me at this point. But I just felt that it was important to have consistency and to have things flow in a manner which would be more understandable to everyone concerned. So now, with approval of the minutes, has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from the meeting of December 9th, 2020?
Yes.
Is any corrections to the minutes required? No one makes corrections?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Can we have a vote, please? Yes, approved.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Now that business is concluded, we're going to now what is now going to be item number 6, which is now public comments. Public comments are now open, and there's effectively 3 minutes allocated to that topic. We have a request for public comments from Mr. Robert Paddock, who is a resident of the town of Highland Beach, and I believe Mr. Paddock will be with us momentarily, or is with us right now. Good afternoon, Mr. Paddock. Mr. Paddock? I believe he's trying to connect his audio. Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Paddock, can you hear us?
Did someone call to make sure that he?
Mr. Paddock, your audio, I can't hear you. Mr. Paddock? Ms. Thompson, can you try to is he still in the waiting room by any chance?
It says that he's connected.
Yeah, you wouldn't see his picture if he wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe he's having an audio issue and he can't hear us.
Because he can't, this look like he's seeing us either.
Maybe call him up.
Well, it's very important that we hear Mr. Paddock today. So
He's-
is there someone, Mr. Paddock, can you hear us, Mr. Paddock? We can't hear you. Check your microphone on your phone.
Is, Mr. Paddock, unmute yourself.
I don't think I'm not sure he's
not on
muted.
mute.
I think he said something.
He's talking, but there's no audio.
He's talking, but I saw it looked like red in the corner, you know, when he was muted.
I think he cannot unmute himself. I
Do you want
think
me to call Mr. Paddock, or do you want Mr.
Yeah.
Thompson? Can you call Miss Paddock? Mr. Paddock, do you have his number?
Yes, we will have someone reach out to Mr. Paddock.
I will get Mr. Paddock. I will call him.
Thank you very much, Linda. I should learn sign language, how to turn microphones on and to speak or whatever, because we can't hear you. It's happened before at other meetings.
Yeah, I
so-
see he's muted. You know what? Can you do a chat thing to him and say, Mr. Paddock, unmute yourself? When you go up to his picture, you want me to do it?
It's not on mute. I think it's just an audio issue. If everyone can bear with us for just a moment, we'll see if we can try to get him connected properly.
He was on mute, but now he's not.
Yes.
Maybe he could talk through the phone. I put the phone on speaker.
Mr. Paddock, can you hear us? Mr. Paddock, if you can hear me, if I may suggest to call in to the phone number that's on the Zoom invite, you can leave your video up, but you can just call in on your phone so that we can hear you. The phone number would be the 312, area code 312-626-6799. And then you'll have to enter in the meeting ID, which is 864-3717-9698.
Want to give him the numbers again?
There we are. I got you here. Let me let you in. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
we can hear you now through the phone.
Good afternoon,
Okay.
Mr. Paddock. How are you doing?
Hi, very good, very good.
Little audio connection problem there. Mr. Paddock, we reserved time for you to talk in regards to the situation you presented to me initially last week. I'd like you to summarize your concerns and give me some information regarding what your issues are regarding the beach.
Sure. Can I go ahead and proceed now?
Absolutely.
Okay. Basically, I have lived, oh, I've got horrible feedback.
Maybe your microphone, your computer is now working also. Can you check your
No,
microphone, mute it?
sure.
Why don't you mute
Kind of
the,
weird here.
try muting
Yeah,
yourself on Zoom.
Let me put this on mute. Maybe, I don't know, let's see. This is really bad. Can you hear me all right now?
Can you hear us?
Mr. Paddock, can you mute your computer
Yeah.
or the phone, either one of them?
Oh, no. This is not working. I don't know how to turn this off. Let me mute this speaker. See if that works. No? Even I'm muting on the speaker, I've got all this back feed. Wow.
Mr. Paddock, can you end the video feed?
What is going on here?
Can you end the video feed on your Zoom? Just completely turn off Zoom. Turn off the Zoom on the computer.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. All right. Now, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Paddock.
Let me.
Everyone else hear him?
Okay. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, this will be better. My God, that was terrible. All right. Well, I have lived for 23 years on this lawless town's beach, this disgusting, rutted up garbage dump landfill with dangerous landmines of slightly buried skin-piercing objects. It is time for the town to maintain a natural and clean beach, since the entire town has access to the beach and uses it like a public beach, or declare it as all private, closing all beach access points, and enforcing the town's littering ordinance, which requires the beachfront property owners to remove all debris from the beach. Our town has never enforced any of the beach ordinances, regulations, or state law, and has conspired and condoned illegal beach activity to maintain its cheapness and disregard for its most valuable asset. The tractor companies have been running one of Florida's longest scams, defrauding its clients for over 40 years. They advertise that they clean the beach, they sign DEP permit that they clean the beach, they bill their customers that they clean the beach, and they never clean anything. Their operation has always been rake, back drag, and bury, violating all town ordinances and all state regulations. Their permit and violating their permit nature every minute that they're on the beach. The first paragraph of the Fish and Wildlife Guidelines for beach cleaning states, stranded seaweed provides an important food source for beach and nearshore food chains and should be left in place. Human debris can pose a hazard to humans and animals and should be removed. Both Fish and Wildlife and DEP's permits state that the equipment will they'll only allow equipment with 10 pounds of pressure in their tires on the beach. Well, they run with probably 25 pounds because they run on the highways to get there. All material collected must be immediately removed from the beach after cleaning. We know they don't remove anything. Mechanized beach cleaning shall be accomplished so that no ruts are formed on the beach. I mean, the beach right now, even this morning, looks like the Grand Canyon. Burial and storage of any debris collected is prohibited seaward of any frontal dune, vegetation line, or armoring structure. They violate the town's Section 5-9 littering law. According to the town's ordinance, every private property owner that hires a tractor company to bury their garbage on the beach should be given a 7-day notice from the town and fined for every day thereafter while using a tractor company, since none of the trash, refuge, or debris is being disposed of properly. They violate the Florida littering law 405.413, which also includes dumping, because they dump on other people's property by lifting their rake and everything they drug. They just dump it on the next property. And if you all don't understand what goes on out here, there are 2 tractor companies operating, which makes it even worse. So one property owner hires one company, the other hires the other, and the one tractor comes in, drags all the stuff to the property line, lifts their rake, dumps it on the other property. Then the next tractor company comes in, rakes that property, and comes over and dumps it back, and they just keep putting trash and garbage on each other's property, throughout the weeks. They violate the trespassing laws, Florida statute 810-09, willfully violate that. They violate Florida's statute 161.053, coastal excavation, which states that any coastal excavation created is in violation of this section and is declared a public nuisance. Both the trespassing and the coastal excavation are second-degree misdemeanors punishable by up to 60 days in jail. I would like to one day walk on a smooth, clean, natural beach, not in tractor ruts, with thick-soled shoes, afraid of what is buried just under the surface and afraid of being run over. Enjoy a cup of coffee on my patio in the morning without noise or pollution of the tractors trespassing and damaging my property. Watch my dune build naturally by not having the wind blow all the sand no further than into the tractor ruts, and enjoy watching the various birds that the tractors run off and deprive of the natural weed line food chain. In summary, if the town will not step up, then the beach should be treated as all private, tractors stopped, and the money that is paid to the tractor company should be diverted to the beachfront owner's landscape company or the condo's maintenance people for human waste removal, leaving a natural weed line by enforcing the town's littering ordinance. And a couple of the things that I watched your last meeting, and the trash that's coming in here is 90% from the Bahamas. It's not from the boats. Very few people that use the beach litter the beach. It's all from the Bahamas. I go out 2-3 times a week myself and pick up the debris, and it's the same stuff over and over and over. It's plastic bag tops that they cut off. It's plastic cigarette butts. It's all the same stuff. Just keeps washing up day after day, week after week, and the Bahamas are the problem. Somebody should be.
Mr. Paddock?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, you've reached your allotted time for public comments.
We can give him an extra 2 minutes to finish his thoughts, Ms. Thompson, if you don't mind.
All right, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, because I saw that you're trying to do this the bucket poles and everything on the beach. I don't think that that's going to be much of a help at all. Personally, when I go out and pick all this stuff up, it's something. Most of the stuff I pick up, I do not want to touch with my hands. I have a one of these long, pickup apparatuses, to grab it so I don't touch anything. I mean, I can't see these people taking a bucket out there and picking up nasty plastic gloves and face masks and all this stuff now that's washing up. So I think that that's a waste of time. I think there's just more plastic litter to be on the beach. The town doesn't even have enough sense to bring in their garbage cans that they have out there on the beach when there's a storm. I ended up having to dispose of several pieces of the garbage cans that washed up on my property in the last storm. So, we're going to have a whole bunch of plastic pails everywhere, out here on the beach. So, I don't think that's the answer. The answer to this is, either have the property owners take care of the problem, but treat the beach like it is as private property, or the town needs to spend some money on the beach and treat it, properly. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I don't want to interrupt you, and I don't
Yeah.
want to stop your comment, but I do have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
If I'm understanding you correctly, and from our prior, I'm sure I shared all my comments with the board through my email to you, and I'm sharing it with you now personally and before the board. But my understanding is that your position is that the town should come on private property along the beach and police or somehow facilitate the removal of debris from private property?
Well, what I'm saying is that the town does what they want to do when they want to do it, and whether it makes sense or not, why it's whatever the town wants to do. For example, they take the ATV and they run all up and down the beach collecting 5 trash cans full of garbage, running over everybody's private property. But then all of a sudden, when it comes time for them to stop and pick up something while they're running their ATV along the beach, well, that's something they can't do. I mean,
well,
what sense does any of this make? I mean, and the same thing, with the police, I mean, my backyard and the property that I own is no different than somebody that lives over in Bellito, Iowa, and they should, treat it the same. They should enforce the same rules, same trespassing laws. But no, because it's the beach, why nobody wants to touch anything. And, and everybody, all the police officers, take a sworn oath to uphold town ordinances, state and federal law. And when it comes to the state, even the town ordinances, why the police department and the town are not enforcing anything when it comes to the beach.
Mr. Paddock, may I respond for a moment, just to at least give you some idea? First of all, if you attended any of our prior meetings, and I appreciate, by the way, the fact that you took the time to look at the December 9th meeting, but the topic which we raised with the beach buckets at the December 9th meeting has been an ongoing topic in this board since I joined the board in 2019, and of considerable concern. I know that Member Braun and other members of the board have made a particular issue about the fact that plastic material is ending up on our beach, and we're basically in a situation where we have a problem which we all see when we go and walk along that beach. And the problem obviously is debris and garbage that seems to come up from various places. I would opine, not knowing exactly where it comes from, but I think that it's not just the Bahamas, but it's also, unfortunately, cruise ships or individuals that are actually using offshore crafts of their boats or whatever, basically dumping or at least allowing the garbage to fall overboard. And obviously it ends up on our beach, as well as Delray and Boca Raton. That said, the concept of the bucketry, which you referred to, was a resort basically to individual resident participation in trying to clean up the debris that we could clean up along the beach. But we run into the same problem each time we talk about this. And the problem really comes down to the nature of Highland Beach itself. So before I go into my presentation, which I'm going to make after your public comments period is finished, and my other board members have had an opportunity to discuss or review what you just said, I want to just present to you the fact that Highland Beach is extremely unique. And the fact that it's unique because it doesn't have a public beach of sorts. It doesn't have a particular beach which you can call the public access beach of Highland Beach. We have the right to use the beach below the high tide watermark, which I know you're aware of. And we have the right to have access points to the beach for all the residents on Highland Beach, even those that don't live on the east side of A1A. That said, the beach itself, beyond that point, beyond the high tide watermark is private property. And since it enjoys the status of being private property, it has some limitations on what the homeowners can do and not do on the property. But one of the problems the town faces, from my understanding of their concerns, is that they can't come on private property and actually police the property. Therefore, the beach rakers you're referring to, which basically, and by the way, I'm saying all this to explain to not just to the board, to Mr. Paddock, but to all the members of the town that happen to be all of our residents, just an understanding as to the total issue we have here. The beach itself is basically composed of private property and public access property. We all need the beach because we all came to Highland Beach presumably because it was an oceanfront town. To deprive the citizens of this town of the opportunity to utilize the beach would be unfathomable to me personally. But right now we have a problem with cleaning the beach. So we have resorted to allowing the DEP, Department of Environmental Protection for Florida, and the individual residents who live along the beach, both in condominiums and private homes, to make arrangements to take care of their property. It hasn't been as effective as we'd like it to be, and we wanted to encourage their participation and giving more effort in this matter, but we did so by basically asking if we can empower the residents to make efforts with collection buckets. These collection buckets effectively were intended to give the individuals that walk along the beach the opportunity to participate in cleaning up the beach areas for the benefit of all of us. Now, in regards to the individual beach rakers that you're concerned with, we don't have any control over those beach rakers because they're not sanctioned by the town of Highland Beach. They don't have any permits from the town of Highland Beach. And
Yes, they do.
Well, they have a town. Well, I can't, then if I'm mistaken, then I apologize for that. But I was under the impression that the DEP was the one that actually gave them the permit to operate on the beach. Am I incorrect in that respect? From your
Well,
documents?
here's the situation. As they take their permit, DEP, the permit says that they are going to collect and remove everything down to a cigarette butt from our beach. That's what they sign, and pull their permit to do. And Highland Beach, all they do is say, well, come down and pay us $25, and you have to put your name and phone number on the side of your tractor, and that's the extent of what Highland Beach requires of these tractor operators. And 2 years ago, we almost got the town. Matter of fact, they spent the money with the attorney to draw a ordinance that duplicated the DEP permit, which had all these things that I mentioned in it, 10 pounds of pressure in their tires, not leaving ruts, so on and so forth. And then at the last minute, that thing all got shut down because Barbara, the turtle lady, said, oh, well, I have to have the tractors out here on the beach because they help me bury dead turtles when they die. And now, why are we burying dead turtles on our beach? I mean, it's not a burial ground, and it's just going to wash back out. And so the whole thing got nixed. And so the town never completed the ordinance because the town seems to think that they need to have an ordinance to do everything they do when they don't, because they already have agreed to enforce state and federal law. And, DEP is state. But even when they do have an ordinance like the littering ordinance, why they're not enforcing it at all. And by enforcing the littering ordinance, why everything on the beach should be cleaned properly and everything should be disposed of by the beachfront owners, but they don't enforce it.
Well, as I said to you, I'm not, this board is an advisory board that basically is intended to give opportunities for citizens like yourself and the commission itself, the position where we can research and try to assist anyone in trying to help preserve the natural beauty of Highland Beach, the natural resources of Highland Beach. And the beach certainly is the actual natural resource we're dealing with right now. But there are limitations on what we can do, and there are limitations on what apparently the town is able to do in regards to policing private property. And this is where it becomes very sticky, if you don't mind, in terms of legalities. But before you let me finish my thought, then I'll be glad to let you respond. ultimately, the documents which you presented to me and which I basically included with this presentation today, your presentation today, involve a permit, which is field permit number 803418-PB, which I presume is from the DEP to beach rakers that allow them to operate on the beach and facilitate the collection of debris or movement of debris, we'll call it according to your estimation, on the basis of what the homeowners that have employed them are willing to do. The town does not employ the beach rakers, and the town can employ the beach rakers because the town doesn't apparently have authority to come on that private property. That said, we're very concerned as a board that the beach is not being taken care of properly. So what I'm proposing we can do to further assist you or to further move this matter is to make a recommendation of sorts to the commission to investigate whether we can have the DEP take more action in enforcing the permit and enforcing the boundaries of the permit. I don't think that the town, I don't want to speak for the town. I'm going to invite Mr. Town Manager Labate to answer this question, whether the town can actually take any affirmative measures in regards to working with private property owners in regards to policing their own property. Because I believe it would be somewhat akin to suggesting that the town take on the responsibility of policing your landscaper who happens to be mowing your front lawn or basically taking care of your vegetation, because the sand, albeit what it is not necessarily anything more than an extension of private property. And as much as you may be amenable to the town facilitating cleaning that property, there may be 100 more homeowners to the north and south of you that may not share that particular enthusiasm, and then we have a problem. So we're trying to facilitate, or we're trying to help the town understand and manage the problem by giving the citizens the opportunity to at least make an effort to collect what they can. But of course, the major debris like the seaweed and the effluent that comes out of the ocean from the Bahamas, whether it's rope or what I've seen lately, which is basically shipping debris and so on, that has to be cleaned up mechanically by some type of an individual machine of some sort. And I know you don't personally like the beach rakers, and I personally have no, as I said, enthusiasm for anyone ruining anyone else's property. But I do believe that it's important that we have some system utilized by the homeowners who enjoy the benefit of owning a piece of the beach to clean up their property. Now, if it's not being done properly and it's in violation of the DEP requirements, the DEP is empowered by the state of Florida to take action to facilitate a change in that conduct. You can get the DEP to enforce their own permit. I don't know whether you need a town ordinance to do that, but I would suspect that might be a problem.
Let me explain how it works, because I've been through about 5 of these DEP agents they have, and there was only one good one, and he was here about 15 years ago, named Mark Tatum. And after that, they've had nothing but losers, and they've been through a whole bunch of people. But these DEP representatives have about 5 counties. They've got hundreds of miles of beach, and they don't enforce anything. They don't care about really anything. And I've just been through a whole ordeal with beach stairs and with the DEP, and even they've had big changeovers even in their higher echelons in Tallahassee, and nobody knows anything. Nobody does anything. They can't police our beach. Just like DEP has one person that handles 3 counties, and to get him to come out here and remove signs in the right of way or run off the cars that are parked in the right of way, which are all illegal, well, he's not going to do that. These are jobs that are up to our town and our police to take care of if we're going to have a organized, legal town. And I contacted both DEP and the health department, and they have assured me that the town has oversight, authority, and the responsibility to maintain the beach, to ensure its residents that the beach is a clean, safe, and healthy environment for beach activities. And that's all they'll do. And so the town has the responsibility to take care of the residents, take care of the beach properly. And we do not have a proper beach. One person rakes it all up, and they muck it all up, and they rut it all up, and then you know, and then that tractor has a client, you know, half a mile down the way, which is the case of the beach rakers, and they run across my property, leave big ruts everywhere, you know, to get to the next person down here and then bury all their garbage. And then their garbage eventually washes out and ends up back on my property after I've already cleaned my property. And
we got the picture.
it's a mess.
We got the picture,
You know,
Mr. Paddock.
I mean,
we understand
crazy.
that, but we
makes
got to
no
go.
sense. And
Mr.
if the
Paddock,
police, you know, if the
Excuse me, I
police
have to-
in town would
I
enforce
have
the
to-
rules,
Mr.
the
Paddock, I
tractors
have to
cannot
interrupt you for a
be on the
second,
beach.
please,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
I respectfully interrupt you for a second. I completely understand your concern, your aggravation, and your demeanor in regards to this matter. First of all, deprecating the DEP has no benefit to anyone here. Whether we can or cannot control who becomes the DEP manager for the beach areas is beyond the scope of anything we could do as a town. We're completely at the mercy of the state. But I did do some investigation after our conversation. I do understand that we have 1,800 miles of coastline in Florida, and we have certain resources available to us through the State Division of Lands. And we certainly can try to go back as a town to the DEP and ask them what they believe we should be able to do, what requirements they would have of us in regards to this. But we have to be mindful of the fact that, at least insofar as some property is concerned along the beach, the public only has a limited amount of access to that property. And as much as you're a favor, obviously, of having the town step into the role of taking care of what amounts to being private beach areas, it would be a situation where we have a number of homeowners along the coast who may not be as favorable to that idea and who may be fond of their beach rakers and may be actually being deluded into believing they're doing a good job, or effectively feeling that they're paying the right amount of money for that service, or a combination thereof. We don't know.
Well, Steve, you got to tell them that if they want their beach mechanically raked, that they need to provide access for the tractor to do that, not my property. They should not trespass on my property to clean their property.
Well,
okay? I mean, that just makes common sense.
Well, and it sounds like common sense to me also. The reality is that you're going beyond the scope of what we could possibly do for recommending. I'm going to propose I'm going to discuss with the board after our public comment period is over, and I encourage you to continue watching this meeting, that we investigate the possibility of strengthening the public view, the rules associated with the DEP. But we have a number of legal issues that basically have been brought to our attention as a board. We're restricted on a number of what the town has advised us, or the town attorneys have advised us, that we're restricted in what we can do on the beach. We have ordinances to comply with that, and we have state laws which we have to require, which we have to abide by also. So as far as this particular board is concerned, our concern and our focus is making sure that we have a clean, safe, healthy beach for all the residents of Highland Beach. We certainly don't want to impair anyone's access to it. And I venture to guess to say that my sentiments are shared by 95% of the population of Highland Beach, not just the 5% or more that may live along the beach. So we have a situation now where we all are on the same page. We all want to clean the beach. The problem is, how do we go about doing that? And the reality we face is absence of collective consciousness among all the property owners to employ quality beach rakers and to make sure they do their job properly. There's a problem. And you're one of the individuals that's very conscientious about the way the beach should look. I completely understand and agree with you in regards to burying garbage. I don't appreciate stepping on buried garbage. And I certainly don't appreciate having beach rakers make huge mounds in the sand or do damage to the actual beach. They seem to only do an exceptionally good job during turtle season, when they try to avoid killing all the turtles in the nests. So all things considered, we're very appreciative of your comments, and we also understand that what your concerns are. The problem is actually enforcement. And I don't know how you feel as a personal homeowner who lives along the beach, but I don't know whether or not you would feel comfortable being cited or otherwise told what you can and can't do with your private property. But I'm sure that there would be a certain...
Sure. See, it's like any other property. If you let your grass grow too long, why, towns cite people to cut their grass or, clean up their landscaping or, what's different between beach trash? I mean, it's the same thing. I don't mind. I would want the town to come out here if I got a bunch of litter out here and I'm not taking care of my property. Why they should cite me?
Do you have?
And they should be citing everybody else on the beach.
Let me ask you a question. And again, as I said, how about seaweed? How do you feel about seaweed?
Seaweed is a food chain source. I'm one of the few people that have some nice seaweed out here, and I have created an absolute mess because all the birds come. I got pictures, videos. I have 200 birds sitting on my beach, 100 feet of beach, and not a bird anywhere in sight looking north or south. And they end up, I create a real shitstorm on my house. I mean, my windows and everything else. The only place the birds could come and get some food, I mean, it's a natural occurrence, and the seaweed is not a problem. And the trash is all wadded up and in the seaweed. It's part of the seaweed, and the only way you can get rid of it is pick it out by hand. And the beach rakers have claimed that they have all these big fancy. I sent you the brochure. They have these big fancy machines, look like combines that they suppose they can pull behind their tractor, and it will sort. And they've never ever had anything like that on our beach, and they can't. And they can't remove the seaweed. They can't do the proper cleanup because the town has been so cheap in not providing any access to the beach for a vehicle, so they can't get anything removed off this beach for 3 miles. There's no access. So how are you going to remove all this garbage off the beach, So the town has just literally screwed all the beachfront property owners from rebuilding their dunes properly, doing any kind of work on the beach, any type of cleaning, and it's done because almost all the lots are built out. So
let me summarize. Let me go back to your point about seaweed. So your position is that seaweed is not trash. Now, obviously, it's a natural occurrence on the beach. It should be preserved for the purposes of leaving wildlife and the opportunity to live in the seaweed. Am I correct?
Sure, definitely, yes.
Well, now let's contrast that with a number of other residents that have come forward to the commission and to the board, not to the board, to the commission in past times, where they resent the idea of seaweed being on the beach and want it to be pristine and clean like it is in the Panhandle or other light sand beaches where we don't have any seaweed at all. Their concept of cleaning a beach involves removing all the seaweed. No, I can understand.
Well, then I need to move to the west coast of Florida or someplace different.
Well,
this is a natural occurrence on this side of Florida.
Right, but the reality we face is that one man's garbage is another man's food source, and the situation really comes down to we have a subjective analysis as to what we're going to be picking up out there. So if we start enforcing, or we suggest and recommend to the commission that they pass an ordinance to enforce cleaning the beach, we're going to have to get very detailed information back to the commission as to what we're actually considering cleaning. And if we say seaweed shall not be cleaned up by the beach, we're going to have a tremendous number of angry residents that basically would like to use the beach absent that seaweed. Hence, a problem now occurs.
Look, I mean, it is a regulation. It is the Fish and Wildlife recommendation. The very first paragraph of what they have to do about recommending beach cleaning is leave the weed line. Leave the weed line. I mean, I read it to you. It's a food source. I mean, so these people are going against nature. They're going against our laws and our regulations when they say that. And and if you get an overabundance of it, why you have your landscaper or your maintenance people from a condo go out there and break some of it up, put it in bags, and take it to the street. Okay, you can clean up a little bit of weed, but the weed is not the problem out here. It deteriorates really fast, and the ocean comes in and moves it around and breaks it up, and it's not a problem. And it looks nice to have a clean, long weed line. It doesn't look nice to have 100 feet of weed and then no weed and all kinds of tractor ruts and scraping and it just doesn't look friendly. It doesn't look natural, and when you do that and you bury all this stuff, why you just break it up and make it even harder to collect. I mean, pieces of plastic a foot square maybe float in. And then by the time the tractors run over it out here on my property, I got to go out there and pick up 12 pieces instead of one piece. or they break bottles. They run over bottles with their tires and with their rake, and they break them up on the beach, and they make a bigger mess to clean up and do the job properly for me and for everybody if they want to start cleaning the beach. But they cannot operate legally. There's no way the tractors, they're not legal. They're breaking every rule and regulation. They need to be off this beach, and anything else you can do to clean it is fine. But, you know, the property owners is considered private. The property owners should be required to clean the beach, and they don't need the tractors.
Well, then I guess
People that want a weed, don't want any weed, they need to go someplace else, because, you know, this is the nature of where we live. I mean, it's nature.
Okay, we'll take your public comments into consideration, and we appreciate your taking the time to present them to us. And as I said, we have a limited amount of, we have no enforcement authority. We're an advisory board. We can discuss and deliberate as to how we can make a recommendation to the town of Highland Beach in regards to your comments, and we will take them into consideration. We appreciate your coming today to give us your comments, and we appreciate the concern you have over the beach, and wholeheartedly hope that we can get something accomplished that benefits both you and the benefits of all the residents of the town. Fair enough?
Well, I sure hope so, Steve. Thank you so much for including me, and
thank you for coming today. Thank you for participating in our meeting. Appreciate that. All right. Are there any more public comments besides Mr. Paddock?
No, there are no more public comments.
In that case, I'd like to move on to the next topic, which would be a presentation. And it's consistent, and it's the presentation we move from 9B forward to 7 for the purposes of the agenda. Mr. Paddock has some really valid concerns. He basically is enthusiastically trying to facilitate a better means of having our beaches policed and cleaned. What I've done for the board today is explored the possibility of what we can and can't do. We have, obviously, all we can do, as a matter of fact, as an advisory board, is to make a recommendation. And I think we're pretty clear and consistent and unanimous on the idea that we want to keep the beach clean. The problem we face is the beach itself is composed of private and public property. And as such, we're limited to what we can, as a town, do on private property. But we have some degree of latitude in regards to how we can operate in the property. We have a situation where, if you notice the governor's order, which I attached to your agenda, it basically gives customary usage rights to individuals in the town. We have certain areas of the beaches that are also, at this point, directly restricted to allow, there are restrictions on the deeds that certain homeowners along the beach have that facilitate the public access to the beach and to the sand. So we as a town have rights to use the sand. The question now becomes, how far do those rights go and what we have to do about them? And how this problem is now going to be dealt with is a matter of concern, which we're going to raise with the commission, which I'm going to make a recommendation we raise with the commission so we can know in some way what our parameters are. I've addressed this to the town manager, and I asked him to attend, and the town manager actually volunteered to attend. I'm going to ask Mr. Labate to jump into this conversation anytime he feels inclined to do so, because we would like to avoid treading in areas where we really have no place as this advisory board goes. I've attached what amounts to what I think is is an overall article which is promoted by University of Florida, which talks about beach access and who owns the beach and the public's right to use it. But we are in a crossroads situation here with issues involving beach raking and cleaning. And I would certainly like to see the town, if it has any authority to do so, facilitate some type of oversight on the beach rakers. I don't know whether or not it's going to work out without the DEP's cooperation. I don't know whether the Department of Environmental Protection has specific enforcement authority and restricts their enforcement authority to that problem. That's why I'm going to ask Mr. Labate to help me out here. Mr. Labate, would you have any comments on that?
I don't think it's as simple as stated. I know that you all understand the difficulties and complexities, and Mr. Paddock did a good job of describing his opinion on the situation. And it's a situation that we looked at great extent in 2018 and 19, when this board in and of itself also took a really close look at all of the beach raking options. Should we, outlaw or ban mechanical raking and just go with hand raking? Should we just do an ordinance that would regulate all raking, whereby they would be giving us permits, which would give us greater access or authority to regulate the beach rakers? And then we bought the beach rakers in to discuss the matter. Ms. James came in from the Turtle Volunteer Group and expressed her concerns over the support for the beach rakers. So I think there's a multitude of opinions and concerns. I think everybody is concerned about the quality of the beach and how we go forward to ensure that it's healthy and strong. This group particularly has done a great job at that. So again, the commission did spend a lot of time going through these ordinances and solicited a lot of public comment. We went to Gumbo Limbo and asked for assistance from Dr. Rashenko. I don't have it written down in front of me, but she, gave us an educational opinion on the ordinance. And basically at the end of the day, it wasn't, the commission didn't feel it was in our best position to move forward with getting in the beach raking business. We ruled that out relatively quickly. Then prohibiting mechanical raking, while as one resident has expressed to you today their dislike for them, many people continue and still hire them to do exactly what they are doing. So you have that conflict. So one person doesn't like them, a lot of people do like them. So outlawing it was not in the best interest of all in the community. So we put an ordinance together where we would regulate it, require permits, we'd be out there. And then we got a lot of pushback from residents that here's another permit we got to get from the town. The town's going to be in on our properties, this and that. So the issue got complicated. The beach rakers came in, explained their position. We've taken Mr. Paddock's concerns to the DEP many times. It seems like every fall we take it to the DEP and express these concerns. We've pushed it up the ladder. The DEP has at least one time in the past has written a warning letter to them to be a little more careful when they're on the beaches. They do have permissions to bury seaweed. That's a special authorization they get tied to their permit. So it's a very complicated issue. Whatever recommendation you have, we'll move on to the commission. They will review that, discuss it again. I've shared some of this comment and concerns with Mr. Torsivia, our attorney, and we will again share it with the DEP to make sure that they're reviewing this at the state level. Because as you get through all of the issues, Mr. Paddock has several concerns that he's expressed to you all. One of the ones that we've expressed to the state where we think their opinion needs to come into it, Chairperson Parks, were one of the letters you did on customary use, or, these, and Mr. Paddock even spoke to the history of it, been doing it for 40 years. From time to time when the king tides come in, that's when the issue is most prominent of the what is being alleged as the trespass issue, where they go slightly above the high water mark onto dry sand to traverse down the beach to get from client to client, or one client to a group of another client, set of clients. So there is some history to that, and that's really where the state needs to come in. Is their ability to traverse above the high water mark from time to time when king tides come in, or we begin to recognize sea level rise, where that mean high water mark is going to change, and it probably has changed since the last time they did some activity as far as measuring that. So it's a very complex issue. There isn't a silver bullet, if you will, or we would have deployed it at this point to put this issue to rest. But I passed it on to Mr. Torsivia, and in the sake of brevity, we could go on for hours on this interesting topic. The computer is resting on about 5 inches of materials from the last time we went through this exact same conversation, the same pictures, the same concerns. I understand Mr. Paddock's frustration, but at this time, the activities that we have taken have not, one, satisfied him. To the other, on behalf of the entire community is the interest we're beholden to, not just an individual. So we have to look at everybody, all property owners, all users of the beach. And again, whatever recommendation you have, I'll move to the commission. But again, the commission moved in some action, but then chose to not be involved and let the state regulate that activity. There is no $25 fee for these beach rakers to come to the town. They don't do any type of coordination with us, and we have no particular oversight. Applying other authorities of the police department to this issue has been suggested by Mr. Paddock. We've kind of looked around at some of those issues, and at times it isn't as clear as he makes it sound or state. So I'll leave it there.
I think it's important for the board to educate the public in some respects. And I think one of the most important things you raised, and which I think has to be raised at this meeting and in general to the public for awareness purposes, is the fact that we don't have access to the beach for the actual use of our vehicles. In the past, over the years, we used to have cooperating homeowners that had parcels along the beach that allowed our trucks and our ATV or whatever to go to the beach. But that has since evaporated into buildings. And now we're in a situation where the town of Highland Beach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lavati, has no access point to the beach for any kind of municipal vehicles or any collection of any debris. We have to go forth by the grace of the homeowners or by easement owners to facilitate the collection of what amounts to being garbage. And we try our best to facilitate this. This is a very interesting anomaly for Highland Beach. Boca Raton has public parks that they can access the beach through. Delray has public parks where they can access the beach. Highland Beach doesn't. So one way of, I suppose, facilitating Mr. Paddock's concerns or getting vehicles onto the beach to do any kind of cleaning or resuscitation or whatever is to have the town purchase property to give access to the beach. And I don't think that's on the cards at this point. And I'm not sure the commission would have the intention or the wherewithal to do that.
We are accepting donations, though.
We are, okay, Mr. Paddock, I'll mention that to Mr. Paddock next if we have a chance to talk. But the reality is, we may not have to have that. I'm sorry, Ms. Stern, go ahead.
The Highlands allows some of the community to come in through there.
That's true. That's true. And you know what the board has to consider? I don't know what the status is at the moment, but Kemi Milani Park is eventually going to be developed one way or the other to some degree. And that might present an opportunity because it's going to be within the boundaries of Highland Beach to give us some access point onto the actual beach. Now, we all know that there's a tremendous amount of public pushback against Kemi Milani Park, that we all personally don't want to invite countless numbers of individuals from all over the state of Florida and elsewhere to come on to Highland Beach. But the fact that we're so secluded and so sequestered, I don't know if that's the proper word, from any access points to the beach is probably why the beach looks the way it does today. And the public has to be aware of that there's a balancing act going on here. I'm inviting other members of the board to jump into this conversation because Chairman Mirage, Vice Chairman Mirage, I don't know whether you have a personal opinion on this, but I know you discussed it at prior meetings. And I wonder what you came up with at a prior meeting that might have had any bearing on this. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I don't really have anything to comment about that, although I like that that you had brought up the Milani Park. I mean, maybe there's a way for the city of Highland Beach or the town of Highland Beach to maybe negotiate with what the discussions that are happening now regarding Milani Park to include allow access for the town of Highland Beach for their police or some type of
Palm Beach County, their commissioners.
Yeah, like some type of to facilitate the beach, assisting with that beach cleanup somehow. But I think that should be part of the negotiations, maybe to include that. I don't know if it's been thought about or talked about before. I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well.
I said the town manager and let Doug Hillman know that in the negotiation. I don't think it's been brought up before. And I think
You know,
it's fabulous.
I agree with you. I don't know. I'm not sure either. Mr. Lavati, they're actually right. If we have to succumb to having Milani Park, can't we negotiate with the state of, I'm sorry, with Palm Beach County in this case, because it's a county park, to make sure they have some type of resources provided to us or financial ability provided to us to clean up not only the beach that they're creating, but any possibility of it being a problem down the beach? Because, I mean, I don't know where you're at with the negotiations with them to begin with.
Very preliminarily, just trying to see if there, those conversations, as discussed at the commission, is trying to get them to recognize a less intense use on the beach than originally settled in the court documents. So that's really where we're at, is trying to get the county to come along that the beach can only accommodate so much use, especially in the parameter resource. You just can't get a lot of people on there. And we did it with the sit-in that I believe some of you were at. That was kind of the point, and we're still having that conversation.
Could you make that?
We've had conversations with the county that whatever, if it was to come, that would they accommodate some type of access for us and or potentially even residents if they need to do seawall or other revetment repairs to have maybe a larger access point than is currently available or closer. They haven't ruled that out or said no way. So I mean, they're going to need to get on there to do work as well. So
Can we cut a path, do you think, Marshall, to the actual, I mean, they have a ton of developed land. It's already fenced off. I think they let us cut an actual access point through that land temporarily and get down to the beach to that access point and bring trucks on?
I don't know. They might. I just don't know if there's a need at the moment. And I'm not sure. I'd have to speak with them if other residents have called the county in the past for access for equipment. But they still need to do some archaeological research on the site before they can probably grant some type of larger scale impact on that beach area. So, and those have not commenced. So we don't know if there are things that have to be avoided.
Can they do architectural, not architectural, historical and the Indian burial site before, and then they just negated it?
No, they still have to do it no matter what happens. If anything is to move forward, they have to do that. There are 40 some odd conditions in the settlement agreement that
So
they
we still have some hope.
if to completely stop it, that would be an issue that would put the brakes to any type of development on that site, as if there are seminal artifacts found on the site. Sure.
What do you think about the idea of presenting that to them and letting, because I mean, I know that a significant amount of the residents in the town, and I agree, I actually have to admit to you that I'm one of them, oppose the idea of making Kaimilani Park into a opportunity for a significant number of people to be on our beach, mainly because I don't think it can actually handle that type of volume of individuals, especially with the proposal, which I saw recently attached to one of the commission meeting minutes, which was 96 different up to 96 cars or whatever. But going past that, if we were to encourage them to allow us to go onto that spit of land that goes between A1A and the beach and start excavating a path, and we happen to bump into archaeological problems as a result of that, wouldn't that be in the best interest of all concerned to find out now what the situation is, as opposed to having them formulate more plans and start the overall development?
We'll find out in due time, because they have to do that work. So we will find out one way or another in time. There is no, they have time still on their clock, if you will. So they have a couple more years where they have to decide how they're going to move forward, at which point in time, then they have to start taking further action, as their complete time for completion is 2030. So they still have a little bit of time. They have to complete this activity. So,
But within the 5 years, they're going to be starting.
yeah, they got to start all in good time. Yep. I don't know that we want to be pushing access with the county at this stage of our conversations. We have some other bigger issues we want to sort out with them than beach access at this point.
Right, but that in a nutshell is the problem we're having right now. We have no access, technically speaking. Unless the homeowner grants us access, or we go down to Spanish River Park and move along the beach through the state park. As far as I can understand it, we can't bring heavy equipment on the beach. So we can't bring things to clean up large scale areas of the beach. And we're stuck with the rakers basically doing whatever damage they're doing right now because we can't change their way of doing business. So I'm going to present another idea to you I don't know about, and this is just a thought. Can the rakers be required to carry what amounts to being a carriage or some type of a vehicle behind them that would actually act as being the actual disposal point for them, and then drag that back off the beach after they're finished with their work?
I'm sure there's different pieces of beach combing equipment or beach cleaning equipment. And I believe they were telling us that there are certain limitations because of access, width of the beach, sand depth, texture, things like that all kind of play out into it. But I don't know that we're going to, we had this conversation back in 18 where we were suggesting a lot of ideas to the beach rakers, and that's not really our position on how their means and methods we really don't get into, and nor do we regulate their activities. That's up to the state. But if we wanted to get into exactly how things are done, this or that, we would be venturing into the business of beach raking as a town. And we went through massive studies on special assessment district, who pays. We went through this extensive exercise for which most said it's not in the best interest of the town, a small town especially, to get into beach management, clean, because it's an all private beach. That's why these individual property owners and condo properties secure the services of the beach rakers. And the one issue that seems to drive to Mr. Paddock is how they traverse during the abnormally high and king tide situations where they can't reasonably move below the high water mark, as they claim. I'm sure Mr. Paddock said they could do something different, but nonetheless, that's the claims that they've made. And we have passed that information on to the DEP and said, listen, we have a resident that's really concerned. He's concerned about this trespass issue. And we're still waiting for them to take a stronger position. I'm not sure they're going to take a stronger position, to be honest with you. But every time a complaint comes in, we move it on to those authorities. They recognize the receipt. They were out here as early as last week with Chief Hartman looking at stuff. So we go through this exercise pretty much on a regular basis with the DEP. Now, is Tallahassee going to come out and make a strong ruling? I don't know. I can't speak for them on these bigger issues. On Mr. Paddock's issue of wanting an all natural beach, Mr. Parks, I think he did a great job getting to it. You know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder when it comes to the beach setting. Some people like the seaweed, most people don't. So that's kind of where the rub begins, is that he wants an all natural beach. His neighbors north and south want that seaweed removed, and logistically removing it from the beach is quite an expense. So that's why they get those rider conditions on their permits to bury it. Now, inevitably, is there trash tied up in that seaweed that gets buried?
Correct.
I'm probably guessing we've all been on the beach. Yeah, it probably happens. They're not supposed to, but inevitably some does get up. We've had that conversation, and both rakers say they do their best to remove as much of the plastics and debris from it. Again, I'm not out there watching the rakers work all day to say if that's, to what extent that's happening. And again, that's where Mr. Paddock kind of gets a little upset, is, no one's really watching these folks. And when we turn it over to the DEP, they get involved and generally say they're meeting their permit conditions.
But could we as a town police that if we wanted to?
If we so choose, the commission, again, we got through a first read, and then we started doing and asking more and seeking more information before we got to a second read. And the commission, based on the information presented, wasn't very fond of moving forward. We stepped back from it. And I would say from a risk management perspective, in some cases, I don't know that we want to be in that, because there's more to regulating beachfront areas. It's a very sensitive topic for property owners. And if one property owner decides to get involved, and then once we regulate, we are intimate, we are now a stakeholder in any type of issue that arises. Right now, if there's a problem with the beach rakers, it's the state the property owner in more of a civil matter. It's not really us involved. As soon as we start regulating it, if we don't regulate it properly or within certain months, we become part of the problem and or solutions or however you want, but we have more risk, we more ownership in the situation. You know, how far do we want to get into it? At the time, we chose not to and moved away from regulating it, because what would we be doing outside of what the state should be doing? So we stepped back from that.
Okay. Just for one moment, I have to interrupt the meeting for a moment. Member Halpern has joined us apparently in the middle of the meeting. I'd like Ms. Thompson to please reflect the fact that Mr. Halpern has joined the board. And
With
Mr.
my
Halpern also has a comment.
sincere apologies.
For the record,
By all
members
means, Mr.
join the
Halpern.
meeting at 2.
And I would like to come back to the town manager on archaeology in Milani Park before we've at
If
the
you
appropriate
wanna
time.
make- the presentation currently is really revolving around trying to take care of our beach. But we welcome, would you be
Well,
kind enough to wait?
since he brought it up, I thought we could, you know.
No,
I'd
go
be
ahead. No,
happy to
by all
wait.
means, no, please, by all means. I mean, I brought it up actually, so by all means, go forward.
Mr. Town Manager, I sent you a letter. I'm actually trying to look it up. A copy of a letter that I sent, I want to say in 05 or 07 or something like that. That was forwarded, yeah, actually December 12th, 2005. It was forwarded to town commission members, Chair of Beaches and Shores, Chair of Cultural Society, and Dale Sugarman, Town Manager. And what it transmitted to them was a consultant's report for Palm Beach County called Cultural Resource Assessment Survey of Milani Park. In that report, they stated that they found cultural resources that needed to be investigated in the park. That I gave that report. I had only one copy at that time. I was traveling. I gave it to the town. I sent that to you, that copy of that letter to you and our esteemed mayor a month ago, maybe.
12/1.
Yeah, I
December
said-
1st. Yep.
Yeah, and I said, could you please find that report? It clearly identifies that there are archaeological resources in there that are a detriment to developing that property.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You just cut out
Okay.
my beach access, Mr. Halpern.
Sorry, but if I can stop Milani Park, it's worth it.
I understand your sentiments are not in favor of Milani Park. My only interest was, I would bet that we run into those artifacts if we start digging, and then we'd have a stronger case against Milani Park. But it's up to how it plays out in the long run.
Well, this preliminary work was all done and they did it was an excellent report. I'm sorry I didn't copy it when I sent it to the town.
Mr. Labate might come with you and
It
send
has
it back
be
to
in the
you.
archives.
I'm sorry, Ms. Stern.
I said it has to be in the archives someplace.
I think the town manager has it. You, Mr.
I
Labate, you have the report?
I have Jack's email. Milani files quite in depth. I'll take a deep, but I haven't personally seen it, but I know it exists. And the county probably has a copy as well because they probably commissioned the study.
Oh, I would bet it got vanished at the county. I don't think this is a report that they want around.
Can we find that report, Mr. Labate?
Not that they would do that, of course. Not that anybody would do
Well,
that.
maybe
Right.
have Doug look back into Boca Highlands
Sure.
archives.
We'll keep looking at it. We got time. We're on it. The community's on it. Community's not going to let me forget about it. So we're in good shape on Milani Park. We're going to make sure everything is followed. They know that they have to do the archaeological study in complete detail as part of an impact statement. So
Can we get someone on the review committee for their work?
we get to review it. Yes, according to the condition.
We had
Whatever
two,
they do, we have to
we had-
accept it. Yeah.
when we were involved back then, we had two tribes involved with us. And, you know, I think they would be interested to come back because they feel that it's their heritage that they want protected.
Certainly. Certainly.
I think we can get the veterans involved too because of the nature of Yamato Rock. But without going and digressing completely to Milani Park, you think it's possible, I'm going to throw it out to the board now, that there's some commentary, what can we do about trying to facilitate better management of the cleaning process for the beach? Can we make some kind of rules? Ms. Braun, go ahead.
I would just like to say, I was part of the whole work that went into 1819. and the town manager went in lengths with that whole beach raking thing. And as far as I know, Mr. Patek was at that time also part of it, and brought it up at that time. So I have, and I might forgotten it, what really stuck out on me here is that there is a rule what the rakers have to do, like cleaning up. I'm living here since 18 years, and I can tell you, unless there is a huge big piece like a
boat.
a cage or a bicycle or a TV, everything was already on the beach. They take that up, but they are not cleaning the beach. And the wheat is only in a few weeks of the year. I mean, last year it was really bad, but in normal years, it is only a few weeks a year. And they rake the wheat down, but they rake the whole garbage down all year long. But if in the contract is standing that they have to clean up, what is the argument that they don't clean up? Is that all beach access issue?
Well, what's your point in regards to that? Do you think that
No,
they're not?
my question is, Mr. Patek said before that in the rules or in the contract is written that they have to clean up the beach. They don't clean up the beach, and he's upset about that nobody is, you know, controlling that if they clean it up or not. So they rake the beach. They go and make it flat and, you know, do all kinds of things, but they bury the small stuff. They bury all small plastic and whatever is on the beach. They never pick that up.
Well, my argument to the town, the reason why I included the materials, including the excerpt from the Florida statute number 375-251, was to illuminate the town's residents, Mr. Paddock included, obviously, that they're not responsible if they allow the public to come on the beach for anything that may collect the debris or problems. They have a statutory, there's a limitation on what they can be responsible or liable for if they allow public access to the beach. So invariably, if they allow public access to the beach, now the citizens and residents of Highland Beach and their guests and whoever are coming on the beach, and they're using the beach for their purposes and obviously possibly leaving debris behind. The question now becomes, can the city, in an effort to assist the homeowners, come onto their property, or at least have some type of permit, make some type of rules associated with whoever utilizes the cleaning process on that property to make sure that it's done in conformity with what's considered to be environmentally sound practice. Environmentally sound practices. That's where everything kind of comes together. We're dealing with private property. We're dealing with public access to private property. We're dealing with a certain amount of public property, which is at the end of the private property as it goes below the high tide watermark. And we're effectively we're bringing on the possibility of, can the town now police the beach, or at least operatively make some kind of rule up? And what I propose this board consider is a recommendation that the town be encouraged to investigate whether the DEP is currently enforcing the guidelines that is established for beach management. And secondly, perhaps reconsider the ordinance that it didn't pass 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I think it was 2018, the town manager mentioned that they basically shelved this whole idea, and consider the idea of at least having some type of enforcement mechanism where the beach rakers would be required to comply with DEP rules and regulations, and we do something in terms of policing their activities. I don't know whether it's feasible. I don't know what it will cost. These are all things that have to be considered by the town management. But effectively, we're in a situation where, as we're so involved with the beach, because the beach is our greatest natural resource and the greatest magnet for people coming to our town, we have a responsibility to try to do something toward this end. And the pictures which Mr. Paddock brought with him that I saw for the first time today, that are basically pictures of the tractor marks in the sand and the unfair way in which they actually rake the garbage into the properties. That's something to be considered. Now, what comes of our conversation basically is a matter of what the town commission wants to do and whether it has changed its opinion as to how far it will go in terms of trying to regulate it. I do appreciate Mr. Labadie's concerns regarding what we can do to regulate these things. And obviously, back to my original comments, we're really between a rock and a hard place when it comes to being able to even get down to the beach to make any type of changes or do any type of work. But bearing in mind that, you know, we could explore possible alternatives, we can do that. But I don't want the board to consider the idea that we can do nothing at all. I would like to have at least a recommendation, if you're inclined to do so, that we bring this matter up and escalate it insofar as the commission reconsider the possibility of, enforcing the actual DEP guidelines or taking action against, and against the DEP, as a matter of fact. I don't know, Mr. Labadie, can't we as a town complain to the DEP for the failure to do something?
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to, as I said, I know the town's limited in resources. I know the town doesn't want to create litigation, but maybe we can ask our town attorney whether we have some legal recourse if the DEP isn't doing its job. And as Mr. Paddock was very adequately saying, basically is sending incompetent people or nobody at all to really take care of the situation. I know you said you had a conversation with them, but did they seem like they were disposed to do something about it? They were just, basically pounding sand. Came to mind.
Right.
Sorry.
I won't pass my opinion, but if it's something that you feel is important, I would make that recommendation that the commission explore sending a letter to the DEP, something formal through the attorney, asking the DEP to respond to these complaints, these formal complaints, maybe put them a little bit more under pressure to the DEP, that is, to respond to this. But when we've talked to them, again, I think Mr. Paddock made a good point that they cover a lot of territory. And I venture to guess that most people along the beach that use their services are satisfied. I'll leave it at that. Most people that hire these beach rakers are satisfied with the work that they are doing. But again, I think Ms. Brown put it up right that, they're not picking up all the little stuff. We just see what the equipment they're using. There's no way you're going to get up little tiny pieces of anything. I'm not 100% sure that, what their service or scope of services are to do certain things. We don't have their contracts. We've asked for the beach rakers contracts. They're not obligated to share their business affairs. So it really would be forcing the DEP to step in and render some opinions, thoughts, response in some format. We can, maybe take a stronger position by writing a more formalized letter, or again, as we do, we push it every year. Maybe if we send something from the attorney's office, maybe that's a little bit stronger. I would just suggest if that's what you guys think is good, to put that in a recommendation, and I'll take it to the commission, and we'll try to map out if the commission's interested, to map out that process or those steps.
Okay. Do any of the board members have any comments before I make a motion?
I think
Mr. Halpern, Ms. Braun, Ms. Stern, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I think the idea is very good to suggest or make a motion to our to the president, to the whole town, the town board, to write a letter to the DEC. Is that
DEP?
DEP, stating what we were just asking, and therefore, if it's in writing rather than in discussion, you have some legal papers, you have some time restraints for them to answer and start doing something.
Fair enough. Anyone else have any comments or questions? In that case, I'd like to make a motion to the board. I'm going to try to make this as succinct as possible for Ms. Thompson's benefit, because I've been told that I can be lengthy. the motion I'm going to make is to recommend to the city commission, the town commission, to take the necessary steps it deems advisable to facilitate compliance by the DEP in regards to their permit that has been offered to beach raking companies that are currently servicing private properties along Highland Beach. My concern, I don't want to go too far, Ms. Thompson, you're looking at me, but basically the intention of the motion is the intention is that the board would like the town to adopt either adopt an ordinance requiring compliance with the DEP qualifications, or at least to begin with, do research and try to gain the DEP's cooperation in actually enforcing its own guidelines and regulations, so that the private homeowners that currently engage the services of the beach raking companies basically can be assured that the beach raking companies are doing their job properly and in compliance with the environmental code of the state of Florida. Did I say that all right, Mr. Body? Is that right?
I'm sorry, Chairperson Parks, is that the whole thing?
That's the motion, yeah. I know, I'm trying to boil it down. I know Ms. Gaskin came in now, and now I'm in trouble. She left.
Mr. Chairman, is what you're asking is for the town commission to check with FDEP to make sure that the beach rakers are in compliance with state regulations?
Actually, that's a very light way of saying it. I was more along the lines of get on top of the DEP to facilitate. I'm going to ask the town commission to engage the services of a town attorney to facilitate some type of communication with the DEP, to force the DEP to review and basically enforce its own guidelines on our beach. Is that fair enough?
I second that motion.
Thank you. We have a vote, please. Vote in favor. Aye.
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 Okay.
That's from
Mr.
Chairperson Raj.
Yeah,
Aye.
you just voted aye, correct? I can't see it
Correct.
anymore.
Sorry about
Okay.
that. Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's the recommendation that I'm going to send up to the commission. Hopefully it'll be transposed much more succinctly than I just stated it. Let's go on now to our next topic of conversation, which is going to be unfinished business under section 8 of our agenda. I believe that's going to require us to, first of all, hear a staff update from Ms. Allen. Good afternoon, Ms. Allen. Thank you for coming to our meeting.
And I'm sorry, I just wanted to, I have to leave the meeting, so I'm Chairperson Parks, and I apologize to the board, but I'm going to be stepping away now, so thank you, everyone.
Do we still have a quorum, Ms. Thompson, if Ms. Mirage leaves?
For the record, Vice Chair Mirage is leaving the meeting at 2:34 p.m. and there is still a quorum.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good day. Thank you
All
for
right,
coming.
thank you. Have a great day as well, everyone.
Can you all hear me?
You're echoing.
Thing is,
Your phone is on. You have another connection on, Ingrid. You have another, I see your Ingrid Island is it?
You're
like your
muted on
phone or
our
something?
system, right? Now we can't hear you at all. We don't read lips, Ingrid. Well, no, we don't hear you. Can't hear you. You're
Unmute.
muted. Now you're not muted anymore.
thing is, you're going to hear an echo.
And a big echo.
Because your phone is on or somewhat, you're
No,
listed.
Has something happened before?
Can you hear me?
Now.
Yes.
Better.
I can't hear you from my laptop. Teresa, should I just call in?
You do
lost
have a
Teresa.
second connection. You're on the screen twice, Ms. Allen.
I understand that because I can't hear from the laptop, so I'm on the desktop to be able to hear the meeting. So I have two connections, but maybe I'll just call through the phone and get.
Because you're getting feedback. You're getting feedback.
If you can all bear with me 1 second.
This has been a technically challenged meeting, huh, Ms. Thompson?
While she's doing that, my apology. Believe me, this is going to be my last meeting. I have to drop out. I'm just 2.5 weeks ago, I became the surrogate parent for 3 kids.
Well,
And I'm
that's a
just-
very that's a good thing. They will give you an
Thanks.
hour and a half of time every quarter to attend our meetings.
4, 6, and 8, all their educational meetings. So it's like I picked that up in addition to everything else. And I need to look at my schedule and just really refine it.
Well, we really
So
appreciate
this
you
will be
stay
my
with
last
us.
meeting. Thank
It
you.
sounds wonderful to have these youngsters.
I can't hear you. Ms. Stern, I couldn't hear you.
I said, it sounds wonderful to have these youngsters. Keeps you young.
Oh, it does.
Okay.
It does.
Can
Can you all hear me now?
can
Ingrid,
hear
can you
you.
end your feed on the Zoom on the computer?
Okay. hold on.
Feedback.
Yeah, I'm going to turn that off.
There.
There. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. As I said, I could hear you all, but only from my desktop. I can't speak into the laptop, and I can't speak into the desktop. It's a little bit bizarre. Okay, it's going to be weird holding the phone, but okay. So I am here to give you an update, which is item 8A, which is on the bucket trees. So if the board recalls, at the October 6th commission meeting, the town commission agreed to go ahead with no more than 4 bucket trees. They wanted to do a slow rollout. So with that, I've been reaching out to all the condos on the beach that currently have a trash receptacle. If you all recall, the board decided that it would be the most efficient way, I guess, to implement the bucket trees is to reach out to those condos that already have a town trash receptacle. I have 4 condos that have shown interest. Highland Place, there's the Bolito Beach access, Trafalgar, and Ocean Terrace. Myself and the building official have been out to Highland Place, to the Bolito Beach access, and to Trafalgar, just to get a preliminary idea of where a bucket tree could be. Now, if the board recalls, I had mentioned at previous meeting that the town code does not allow stakes or poles in sand areas. And if you recall, the Volusia County bucket tree that I'd shown you all a PowerPoint of a few meetings back, is a stake in the ground. So we, as I said, went out to 3 condos right now. And it looks like we'll be able to put some of the bucket trees, attach them to like an existing deck area, sort of like a dune walkover. For some of them, it's a dune walkover. Some it's just a regular deck area. And there's also the possibility of putting a bucket tree on a hurricane pad, which doesn't involve like a stake or a pole. And staff is looking into that a little bit further. So they could actually detach the bucket tree if it's on a hurricane pad. It could be on the sand. And then if there's a hurricane coming, they could actually detach the bucket tree and remove it. And the hurricane pad would stay on the beach. So we're looking at some options. So I have at least 4 condos interested, which again coincides with no more than 4 bucket trees right now. I've reached out to all the other condominiums. I'm waiting to hear back from several. I've called them. I've sent emails. It's been a little bit difficult to get responses back, but I'm still working on that. Once we get confirmation from the condos that they do want to move forward, as I said, we basically have 4 that are interested. Obviously, I am waiting to hear whether the HOAs have approved it. A lot of them have to go to their HOAs. I did hear from the Trafalgar condo yesterday from their property manager, and he indicated that the HOA was on board to have the bucket tree, so they gave their authorization, although they want it on a hurricane pad. They don't want it on the deck area. So there's a little bit of logistics to figure out. But once the HOAs give that confirmation, next steps would include an FDEP approval, which is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I had previously mentioned to the board that I did a courtesy reach out to the FDEP a few months back, and they indicated that if it would trigger a permit, the bucket trees, we could do it under one permit. It wouldn't have to be a distinct permit for each condominium, which is good. Also, we'd have to put together some sort of bucketry agreement. Those condos that currently have trash receptacles on the beach do have an agreement with the town for those trash receptacles. So we'd have to have something similar for the bucket trees. Obviously, we'd have to build the trees. I did reach out to Volusia County to ask them for their drawings, and their architectural drawings. They didn't have one, but they gave us specific dimensions. We'd have to obviously purchase the buckets, order the stickers on the buckets, the banner, and I'll talk a little bit about the banner later in the agenda. And then, of course, create the flyer that the town we could put on the webpage, and maybe even reach it out to the HOAs about using the bucket trees, sort of a how, what, where, why type, information flyer. And then, of course, update the board webpage about the bucketry initiative. And I was also thinking what the board may want to consider is, as part of the outreach, we can have people send in pictures or post. We could maybe post on the town website pictures of people, obviously utilizing the bucketries. It'd be nice that they can sort of upload their pictures, and as I said, we could post it on the webpage. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that's just the update as of now. As I said, staff, I'll be working with several staff here and trying to implement these trees. Don't know if you all have any questions for me. I'll be glad to address any.
I have a question. Did you come up with a decal for the actual buckets?
Well, the decal, that's what we're going to talk about. The next item, which was the recommendation that you all gave to the town commission regarding the Take Pride in Our Beach. The bucket tree, if you remember, the Volusia County buckets that I had shown you all, I think it was back in December, they have a sticker on the bucket which shows, and actually, Teresa, if we can go to the slide where I have the bucket trees with the buckets. There you go. So you could see this is Volusia County. So you see I circled under bucket label. They have that little label. So this is similar, I think, what we're going to do on the buckets. I mean, the board didn't have any issue when I showed you all this. I think it was back in December. Sort of that visual, there's no words to it. You show a person going up to the bucket tree, grabbing the bucket, picking up trash, and then obviously hanging the bucket back up. So we would do something like that. That would be one sticker. Then the other sticker would be what we'll talk about a little bit later, which is, a logo. That's what would be on the bucket.
Okay. And the tree, the pole itself would be painted white then? Is that your vision? Or what would go?
Yeah, I think, I just said this was provided to the board a few months back. I think white would work. I know you all agreed on white buckets at the commission meeting on January 19th. There was some discussion by the commission about having not a white bucket, maybe a brighter color. I did discuss this with the town manager, and we were thinking of maybe coming up, and again, when you all see the logo, which is coming in the agenda, you'll see the blues and orange. Maybe we could offer some color options that match some of those colors in the logo.
I just thought white would be easy because we could replace the buckets rather inexpensively because they're
Yeah,
sold
no, I thought that was a good point that you mentioned that they are inexpensive. If you remember when I showed you all the cost, right, that white bucket was the least expensive, at least the one I could find, yeah.
2-gallon white buckets in Home Depot are $2 or $3. So, Miss Allen, if I may interject this.
Huh? Did you lay down? Okay, lay down. Oh.
Excuse me, Miss Stern, could you mute your audio if you're going to talk?
I thought it was.
No, unfortunately it wasn't. Thank you. Miss Allen,
yes.
Can we explore the possibility of getting local businesses like Home Depot to help us by donating some materials, such as the actual 4x4s and the buckets, or is that going to create all kinds of problems?
Well, I don't know. When the item went before the commission, again, I use the the cost, I should say, that Volusia County provided me for their bucket trees. I think it was $2,000 for a bucket tree, more or less. I have it in one of the
Each one?
recommendation memorandums. Yeah, I think it was $2,000. Maybe it was for all. So if I could find that.
You accepting donations from town residents?
Pardon?
Would you accept donations from town residents to make that a lot less painful to the town of Island Beach? I can't imagine $2,000 being spent on an 8-foot tube, a 4x4, and 8 buckets that are $2.50 a piece, unless there's some significant problem here and we're going back to the U.S. Army's
Yeah.
model of $200 hammers.
Yeah,
But,
well, again, that was just what Volusia
I'm not putting you on the
County
spot. I
had,
don't
but
want to put you on
yeah.
the spot. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out to you because my vision was a much less expensive situation to
Yeah.
give us the opportunity to replace these wonderful white buckets in the event someone actually tries to use them for something other than garbage collection.
Well, I
receptacles.
could discuss that with the town manager. I can discuss that with him. I'm not sure if that is something that's feasible. I'll discuss it with him, and I could advise the board. as
Okay,
we
so you
move
haven't
down
put
the
together any
initi-
materials yet. You haven't actually bought any materials for built the
No,
bucket tree
no.
or
First,
anything?
we're out. We are. Our first goal was to go out to the sites to see, what's a good area to place these bucket trees. That's why I suggested the building official come with me, because he is an expert in structure. So I want to be able to, if the HOA or right now we're meeting with property managers, but if they were proposing a location and it just didn't make sense from a structural perspective, obviously having the building official there has been extremely helpful. So we're just sort of canvassing those condos. We've done the site visits. Actually, I have one more site visit for Ocean Terrace. We were supposed to meet with them last week, but they postponed it. They had some major flooding in the building, and so they're working on other issues right now with the flooding. So we have one other one to go out with, and I think based on that, we'll move forward with some sort of mock bucket tree.
Okay. So
Yeah.
does that end your presentation in regards to that? Do you want to go on to topic B, which is the update?
Sure. So you all made a recommendation at your last meeting, and it was brought before the Town Commission on January 5th. This is regarding the educational initiative regarding Take Pride in Our Beach. If you remember, you forwarded to the commission your banner and the actual outlined. So very quickly, I'll go over what the consensus was from the commission. And Chair, I believe you were at the meeting, so by all means, you can add to the discussion here. So the banner language that you all approved, the consensus from the commission was that it was too lengthy. There was too many words on the banner. They wanted something a little bit more short and sweet. And at that meeting, the commission basically agreed that they would work with, with the board coming up with something. That's what was said. And then at yesterday's commission meeting, which was February 2nd, the town had reviewed 2 banner options, and we have a slide here to show you each one. The first one is the one that the town commission likes. They agreed to send both options back to the board for recommendation. As I said, the town commission likes this first one. Now, they did indicate if the board prefers option 2 or to move forward with your initial slogan, which was Take Pride in Our Beach, they felt that that was okay. However, the town commission did indicate that they would change the Take Pride in Our Beach to Take Pride in Your Beach. They kind of like that emphasis on the your rather than the or. So these are the 2 options.
Am I looking at the options correctly? The first one had a background or border, and the next one is all
Orange,
blue?
right. Yeah, this has
Ready
a
for
background
comments?
of orange, and it's clean beach obviously equals healthy beach. And then if we can go to option 2, it's again clean beach, healthy beach, but without that orange background, if you wish. Yeah.
Do we have any board member comments before I make mine?
My wife doesn't allow me to pick out colors and things like that.
This isn't about colors, Mr. Halpern. This is about content. They basically truncated our content down to a very interesting slogan, which I had not considered. But go ahead, Bob. Anything else about the banner which you prefer to discuss?
I think the blue. The second
You want
one.
the blue. Do you like
Yeah,
the
because
banner?
then you're more concentrating on the yellow and the orange in the pictures rather than the outside.
Now, Miss Allen, help me out here. This is going to be the entire banner, and it's going to be this is going to be posted in between trees or whatever in front of City Hall. Am I correct?
Yes.
And this is supposed to convey everything we had on our banner to the citizens of the and visitors to Highland Beach.
This is what the town commission, as I said, they agreed to banner number 1 or option number 1.
I take great exception to their concept of what I was trying to propose, or we were trying to propose as a board. I don't see how this communicates anything more than simply a self-evident premise that the clean beach equals a healthy beach. How does this suggest to the citizens? And I guess I'm not trying to be argumentative. I will propose to the board that this does nothing to inspire people to do anything more than to accept the reality that a clean beach equals a healthy beach. It doesn't suggest that we should have an initiative. It doesn't suggest that we should encourage our citizens to facilitate cleaning the beach at their own, by helping us. Doesn't tie into our buckets at all. And it's a complete abomination of what I proposed in my original, recommendation to the board. And I don't know why they came up. I know the board at the meeting I attended on January 15th or 19th suggested that there was too much verbiage on the banner and that no one would be able to read it as it rode by on the highway. But taking the verbiage we had on our banner, which we seemed to like in December 9th, and reducing it to 4 words and a picture or 2 pictograms, whatever they're called, is a significant jump. So what happened in between is what I'm concerned about. Wasn't there a graphic designer involved here, Ms. Allen?
Yeah, I believe, I don't recall, and I think it was Rodrigo. Again, if you remember at that January 5th meeting, there was some the discussion between the town commission was like, oh, we'll work with you. We'll come up with something. You all may need some assistance. And with that, they did get these 2 options from Rodrigo. Again, I don't know the specifics of Rodrigo, but this is what was provided to the commission, as I said, at their meeting yesterday.
Can we ask Rodrigo to try again?
Pardon?
Can we ask Mr. Rodrigo? Is it Mr. Rodrigo or is it?
You can make your recommendation as you see fit.
Okay, because this doesn't communicate. I'm sorry. I'll throw it to my other remaining members of the board. Do you feel this communicates what we tried to get across to the commission?
No. And
Mr.
we worked
Halpern.
long and hard on it.
Right.
Why did we need their help?
Well, all right. That's a good point. The concern that was raised in the meeting which I attended was that people are not going to be able to take in all the verbiage that we had on our banner, and it's going to either slow down traffic, which I thought was ridiculous, but slow down traffic, or effectively somehow cause problems because they're not going to be able to really read it from the distance. And I can appreciate that. I mean, it's way too much for a banner if it's going to be a drive-by banner. But I didn't get the impression that the commission had any problems with putting on the banner, join us in our Take Pride in Your Beach initiative, or anything which basically communicates to the actual citizenry of our town that we need them to facilitate help for our beach. Now, I have no problem with pictograms. I believe that's what it's called, Ms. Allen. Am I correct? The actual, maybe Ms. Thompson can help me out. I don't know the diagrams that are on there are called pictograms. Is that right, Sam? when you have a picture instead of a words. I don't know what, is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's implying to clean up and throw the garbage in it. And then you look at the other picture and we're gonna have a healthy beach with the sun and the whole thing.
Right. So
Yeah.
picture, you can put that on both ends of the banner if you want, but reducing all of our language from take pride in your beach initiative to
Right.
clean beach equals healthy beach is sort of a slap in the face to the entire project, don't you think?
I agree with your comments, Mr. Chairman. I think it loses the whole intention of trying to get people involved.
Right.
And it just does, it's not there. It's
It's
not
like
there.
it's a self-evident
Like,
fact.
look at your beach.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Not saying helping.
yeah, who wouldn't know that? It's like a self-evident fact, common sense. A clean beach is a healthy beach. It doesn't say to your citizens, go out there and help us by cleaning it. Go out and help us by taking pride in it and doing something about it. So I'd be more than happy to truncate the words we put on the. I just threw that together to give us an opportunity to send something to the commission. I never expected them to to carve it up to the extent they did. I would be happy if they just would join us in our Take Pride in Your Beach initiative, and they can put all the pictograms they want on both ends of it. But I'm really concerned by the idea of them simply limiting it to a self-evident statement of, you know, clean beach equals healthy beach. So that wasn't the idea and that wasn't the concept.
That's very generic.
Much
I-
beyond that.
I'm looking at my notes from that January 5th meeting, and there was discussion that all outdoor advertising that's effective has little copy on it, and they felt that the banner was something that could be put on a handout. You know, the wording that you had on there was more for a handout, not something to be placed on the banner. So,
Yeah, but they promised to reduce the banner to a readable format, correct?
I don't know that they said a readable format. They said they wanted fewer words on it, and this is what they came up with.
Well, no, that's what Rodrigo came up with.
Pardon?
Who instructed Rodrigo is the question.
I believe it was the commission. Yeah.
I didn't get that from the minutes of the meeting I read. I just got the impression that they didn't want to have a lot. I'm not gonna, as I said, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But this is not the idea behind the concept. The idea is
Yeah,
to
no, the
encourage
mayor
people-
indicated that he needed a creative person, and we'll reach out to Rodrigo. This is looking
Right.
for my notes.
So who told
Said that on the
Rodrigo what to
record.
do is the question.
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't speak to Rodrigo, so I don't know.
Can you investigate that for us and get back to us at our next meeting? Please.
Okay?
As far as recommendations are concerned, I'm going to make a motion that the banner not be accepted in the manner in which was proposed by Rodrigo, and that we in fact request the commission to review the content of our original proposal and incorporate much more of a direction in regards to our initiative on that banner.
May I suggest one slight change? Instead of review the content, review our intentions of the banner. Would that work for you, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman?
Sure. You want to make a motion out of that, Sam?
Yeah, I think the commission needs to go back and look at what the committee's intention was for the banner, which was promote public interaction on the beach.
I'll take that as a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Do we have a vote, please?
May I just,
Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead, by all means.
No, go ahead and vote, and I'll mention my comment.
Ms. Braun, do you have anything to add to it?
So I do understand your upsetment a little bit because it's a complete different. I mean, a clean beach is a healthy beach. Everybody, I guess, knows that.
I mean, don't you think we're trying to communicate much more of a, I'm sorry, Ms. Thompson, about interfering in the motion, Mr. Halpin's motion, but we're trying to communicate a much more, a direction for the city, the town to take in regards to, you know, getting its citizens involved. I don't think that does anything at all. It's like making a statement of fact. So Sam, as you said earlier, Ms. Thompson, would you
I
read back
did-
to me? Would you read back to me what the motion was?
I cannot read back the motion for you. It's a little lengthy, and both yourself and Member Halpern played a part into that motion. So actually, I was going to ask you to reiterate the motion for me.
Okay. We're going to recommend that the commission revisit the words or verbiage on the banner insofar as it does not reflect our intention to educate the town that there is a need to facilitate their help in cleaning up the actual beaches. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
A vote, please. Aye.
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 Thank you.
May I add something now? So just for clarity, you all stand behind your banner. You don't want to revise it in any way based on the
No, we didn't say that.
consensus by the commission at yesterday's meeting.
No.
Okay,
No, that's
Okay.
no, but I want to make another recommendation. I recommend the board not accept the artwork proposed by Rodrigo insofar as it does not reflect our intentions on this matter. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Do I have a vote, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Miss that help you?
so
Ms.
again,
Allen?
you stick behind the banner that you all
No,
submitted to
no,
the commission.
no.
No,
Okay,
I didn't say that.
No.
We said that we're going to ask the commission to revisit the verbiage on the banner to incorporate
Okay.
our intentions onto the banner. We're not going to we're not jamming this down the commission's throat. We're trying to get the commission to accept everything we proposed in our original projection there. We just want to have we want the banner to communicate our intention to educate the town, not simply to make a statement of fact in regards to the beach.
Miss Allen, what the commission proposed loses the intent of what this committee was trying to establish.
Thank you.
yes, I hear you.
I don't want Ms. Allen, I don't want you to communicate to the commissioners, by the way, I want to be invited to the next meeting in regard to this topic. But I don't want the commissioners to get the idea that we simply want them to accept what we asked for and nothing else. We were more than happy to cut down the verbiage in the actual original proposal, but not to the extent that it eliminates the entire intention of our proposal to begin with. And that's what
Yeah, my
happened.
reason,
Excuse me?
go ahead.
And that's what happened with Mr. Rodrigo's work.
Yeah, no, my reason for asking is just putting it out there. Based on the consensus from the commission and that they like this one option, that whether you all wanted to consider, based on the input that you got back from the commission, you may want to, if you wanted to consider revising your initial banner. But if you don't wish to do that and your motions stand as they are, then that's fine. I just wanted to get that clarity that you don't want to revise anything at this point on the banner that you all provided to the commission.
That's not what we moved. That's not the
Okay.
motion we made.
Okay.
Ms. Thompson, would you
Very
read
good.
back the first recommendation of the two, please?
Chairperson Parks, just for the record, I don't have your motion right now. I have to listen to the motion and record it prior.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. And when-
Being that they're so lengthy, when they're shorter motions, I can capture them during the meeting, but a lot of the times I have to re-listen to it just so I have all of your words correctly as stated.
No problem. I don't believe that's what we said, Ms. Allen, and I don't want it to be communicated as such to the commission. So we're going to wait for the actual rendition of the motion. But I was pretty clear. I'm not trying to get the commission or recommending to the commission that they accept it only one way, or the highway. The idea was that they revised the motion. I'm sorry, they revised the banner by making it a clearer presentation of what we're trying to do for the town. And we'll see what goes on. I'm sure Ms. Thompson will make a clear statement out of my mismatched words just now. I apologize. Anyway, let's move on. We're on to new business now, which I think basically is the Town Commission Recommendation Memorandum. Is that correct,
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
That
Would you
is
like to proceed
correct.
with that, please? We're on item number
Right.
9 for the sake of the agenda.
Right. Let me just get to that page. Okay. So at the January 19th, 2021 Town Commission meeting, Commissioner Gossett Seidman, as part of a discussion item, she attached or provided to the commission, I should say, a 2018 Miami Herald article regarding invasive plant species. I've attached the article in your agenda. Commissioner Gossett Seidman also presented some photos that she had taken of invasive species located in the town. These were invasive species located adjacent to light or like electrical poles. The two locations and the PowerPoint that she provided is attached into your packets. There were two locations that she provided photographs for. One was on Intracoastal Drive and the other one was on Bellito. Again, these are in your packets. With that, the Town Commission delegated to the board to identify invasive plant species, particularly at light and electrical poles, or I should say light poles and street lights. Now, to sort of complement, if you wish, the Town Commission's directive, I went ahead and went to Palm Beach County's website. They have an enormous amount of resources when it comes to invasive species. There is something called the Florida Yards and Neighborhood Handbook. Actually, this Florida Yards and Neighborhood Handbook is actually referenced in our town code. It's specific to formerly vacant developed lots, but that said, the handbook is part of the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program. So, as I said, as a complement to the article, I went ahead and added that sheet, which is on page 40 of your packets, which lists some invasive species. Obviously, there's a lot of different invasive species. On the top left of the on page 40, the handout that I provided, you'll see several websites. I mean, as I said, there's just an endless amount of resources when it comes to invasive species. I just thought I'd put this out there for the board. I'm not sure how proficient the board and the members are with regards to invasive species. I'm not sure if any of you are horticulturalists or arborists. It'd be nice to hear from the board on that. I'm not sure how you feel about the recommendation from the commission. That's really all I have to say. I'll be happy to address any questions.
Can I get some clarification on, they're referring to us, the project of identifying invasive species as they affect our town? Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Specifically on street lights and poles, that was the actual motion.
And how are we supposed to accomplish that?
Well, that direction was not given. So that's for something, I guess, for the board to discuss. As I said, I don't know if any board member would be able to identify an invasive species if they saw one on a light pole. I don't know, as I said, the background of the board.
Sorry, I couldn't but laugh.
Excuse me, Chairperson Parks.
Go ahead.
Member Amberling Stern has left the meeting. We no longer have a quorum, so no more recommendations or motions can be made. But you can continue with your discussion.
Okay. We don't. How many people do we need for a quorum? We need four? Okay.
Four.
Mr. Halpern?
4, I was going to say.
Oh, okay. So ultimately, we're in a situation where we're being asked to participate in a project, and I don't know what resources are available to us. I have to admit to you that I've never been asked to this kind of a situation. So perhaps the town planner can give us some insight as to what resources we could possibly have as a board. And can we hire a horticulturist?
Well, that might be a recommendation you want to give to the Town Commission. If you feel that as a board you don't have the resources or, the background, again, I don't know if anyone's an arborist or horticulturalist, but if you feel you don't have the resources to accomplish this directive given to you, then by all means you can make the recommendation to the commission that maybe hiring an arborist, someone who's certified and could at a glance identify an invasive species, that maybe that would be a more appropriate way to address this. It's up to the board how you would like to move forward.
So the question is, what can we do if we identify them? If it is on a personal property, can we then ask the owner to remove it? Or if it is on a light pole, I guess we can remove it, or on a whatever pole, we can remove it. So what would be the outcome if we say we have 25 identified in Highland Beach, and then now what? So.
Well, it's not, I don't think the directive was on private property. Again, I had a discussion with the Public Works Director. Florida Power and Light, if they have issues with invasive species on their light poles, they may not come out and remove them, but they may trim them if it may affect their pole in some way. So I've already, reached out to as I said, the Public Works Director. He has a very good relationship with FPL, and they're going to be called out to look at some of the areas, or there's 2 photographs that were provided by Commissioner Gossett Simon, those 2 pictures. But again, the directive was for the board to locate additional invasive species throughout the town, again, on these light poles or street lights. As I said, the county is a great resource, but I mean, just having a list of invasive species plants, I don't know that would help the board. It does take someone with some background to really, I think, make this type of identification.
Planner, can I have a question? Does the town have a horticulturist or an arborist?
Not on staff, no.
Okay. So there's no one we can refer this to if we even wanted to make a recommendation, because we don't have anyone available, right?
I know that we have, the town has ongoing, service agreements with different consultants. I'm sure they have, arborists on their staff that could possibly, be brought on board if the commission agrees to do so.
Okay. Well, bearing in mind that we can't make a recommendation anyway because we have no quorum at this
right,
point.
That's true.
So we really have no way of passing this back forward or anywhere else. But as I said, we could take it up at our next meeting, I suppose.
Yeah, you want to table it to the next
We'll table
meeting.
it right now because we have no choice. We have no way of making any effective progress in it. But that being said, that brings us to the next topic anyway. Is there any more you want to discuss with the town recommendations?
No, I mean, again, I can follow up with the board once we get maybe FPL. I don't know if they'll do a town-wide assessment of their poles and see if there's any invasive species around them. I don't know that they'll do that. They may just come out if there's a phone call and say, hey, there's, this tree's growing up and it's invasive and it's kind of hindering the light. Then they may come out on a case-by-case basis. I just don't know that they'll do a town-wide assessment. But let me discuss that a little bit more with the Public Works Director, and I could give you all an update at the next meeting.
Could you also do me a favor and talk to Mr. Labate about possibly engaging the services of a horticulturist? Do I have to make that into a whole recommendation?
Well, you can't make a recommendation, but yeah, I mean, I could reach out to the town manager based on the feedback of this.
Yeah, because I don't think any member of the board, with all respect, I'm not sure what the credentials are for anyone else except myself, can identify with any degree of certainty whether this is an invasive species versus a non-invasive species.
Right.
Whether it's interfering with with utilities or not. But I think we certainly can, without too much expense, get a horticulturist to do exactly that type of job. And I thought we had one available to us, but perhaps I guess I don't have one on staff. We don't have one on staff.
Not on staff. As I said, we work with various consultants with these, ongoing service agreements, and they often have a large staff with a variety of backgrounds, including arborists and so on and so forth. So
okay.
To clarify
something.
We're back. Ms. Stern's here now.
Hello, everybody.
To clarify something, we are talking about invasive in terms of botanical invasiveness, not in terms of the space, they are crowding a space or something. It's like they do not belong into Florida and they are harmful.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Invasive plant species, right.
Correct.
So do we now have a quorum, don't we, Ms. Thompson?
Yes, for clarification of the record, Ms. Member Emmerling Stern joined the meeting at 3:15 p.m. So we do have a quorum.
Ms. Stern, you actually deprived us of a quorum by leaving. Please don't leave again till we finish our
I
meeting.
tried not to. It just crap.
I know, I'm only teasing you, Susan. I
I
promise.
know. That's why first I called. And I had her on the phone and trying to say, can I just,
I
listen?
know, I know. I'm just, as I said, I apologize. Just that
I
we're short a
apologize.
member. We're short two members now, and which is the last point we're going to discuss today. But I don't know, to bring you up to date, the town apparently, the town commission, in a prior meeting in January, I'm sorry, yesterday, as a matter of fact, basically asked us as a board to take measures or steps of some sort to determine if there's an invasive plant species that might be affecting our town, either in the utilities or basically in some other manner. And Ms. Allen was kind enough to relate to us what the board, excuse me, what the commission had asked us to look into. Topic of conversation then became, are we qualified to identify invasive plant species? And I opined that that wouldn't be the case, that I don't personally have qualifications. And so far, and perhaps I should poll you on this, do you know an invasive plant species versus a non-invasive plant species? Ms. Stern?
I know one or two.
Okay. So but you wouldn't be able to make a professional judgment and
No, would have to
right,
research
right.
it.
Okay, so my first thought was, don't we have a horticulturist? And the response from the town planner, if I may say so, was, no, we don't have one on staff, but we can certainly have consultants or someone else who do it. Are you a horticulturist, Ms. Allen, Ms. Stern?
No,
No,
I could hire
Okay,
one.
all right. So I'd like to make a recommendation and a motion and make sure we move on this so the town commission doesn't feel like we're not doing our job. So I'm going to make a succinct motion for Ms. Thompson's sake. And the motion is as follows. I move this board recommend to the commission that we obtain the services of a qualified horticulturist to undertake a survey of the town's public properties and determine whether or not there is an invasive plant species that may affect our town. Does that sound right? Okay, our town. So I have a second on that.
Yes, seconded.
Aye. For the record, we have a unanimous yes. Is there anything further you'd like to add, Ms. Allen?
I have nothing further to add.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bearing that in mind, the last topic under 9 was 9B, which has been shifted up and been resolved already. We've talked to death. I just have one comment to make personally, and that's before I make the announcements to our section 10. I don't know where this fits on our agenda, Ms. Thompson. I apologize. But I was told by Ms. Gaskins that I can make a general statement, or an appeal rather, to the public at this point to possibly consider their involvement in this particular board, because we are short a member at this point, and it's important for us to make progress in whatever we endeavor to do. So as a personal statement to the residents and individuals who are viewing this meeting, I highly encourage you to consider the opportunity of being part of our board so we can continue forward with our progress in terms of advising the commission on matters that concern the natural resources of Highland Beach.
And you
Other
must,
than that,
may I?
Mr. Chairman, I withdrew my application this morning to continue on the board to be reapproved. I cannot handle it. I have too much going on in my life right now. And I won't bore you with all the details, but I need to prioritize. So I withdrew my application to continue on the board this morning.
will this be your last meeting then?
This will be my last meeting, yes. I
So now we're
believe,
short 2 members. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ms.
It might be
Stern.
3. You
Okay,
you have to be a town resident to be on the board.
I wouldn't be able to answer that question. Ms. Thompson, do you know?
Yes, you do have to be a resident of the town of Highland
I
Beach.
am probably moving in June.
So that means we're going to lose another member, Ms. Thompson. Ms. Thompson, what happens if our board diminishes to the point where we have not even a quorum to have a meeting? Do you know?
That is up to the commission to decide if they're going to open up the application process again, because right now, via resolution number 19-029R, there are 2 timeframes annually where people can submit applications of any of the boards. one of those weeks being January 29th was the deadline to apply. And we, of course, we received 2 applications for members to join the Natural Resources Board. But in the case where we do not have enough people, then the commission may open up that pool for more applicants to join the board.
Why don't you ask that Mr., what's his name, Packer? The one who just spoke,
Paddock?
Paddock. He's always writing letters. He's always telling us what to do. Maybe we should get him involved.
You're welcome to make that statement on the record, Ms. Stern. I'm not gonna say a word on that
Okay, you're
one.
not gonna go there.
And I have not received the applications yet, so there's no review process.
Yes, you have not received them yet because they're still going through the process and receiving.
Ms. Thompson, am I one of those 2? Ms. Thompson, am I one of those 2 or these 2 others?
No, I don't believe you are one of those 2. They're
Okay.
other
With mine,
members.
because
You were up for a reappointment. That wasn't pertaining to your position.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, let's progress to number 10, which is the announcements. I've been requested to make announcements in regards to future events in the town. So I'll begin by stating that February 11th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. there'll be a planning board meeting. On February 15th, 2021, the town hall will be closed in observance of President's Day. On February 16th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m., there is a regular town commission meeting. On March 2nd, 2021, there's 1:30 p.m., there's a town commission meeting. And on March 11th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m., there's a planning board meeting. I believe I've covered all the meetings at this point. And we can move now to item number 11, which is the adjournment. There being no further business to come before the board, I propose that we adjourn this meeting at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a vote, please.
Adjourned at 3:23 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you
Mr.
very much
Chairman.
all for coming. Appreciate
Mr.
your
Chairman.
attendance.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a comment. If you can't get a quorum, please let me know. I will rejoin the committee. I do not want to see this committee to dissolve.
Are you going to resign though?
No, I mean, this is my last time unless I reapply. This is my last committee meeting. I have to reapply,
Okay. Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
If we're not going to have the numbers you need to have a quorum, I will reapply to come back on the board.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
thank you.
Yeah,
You're
I
a
do-
great asset.
Board go away. I don't want to see this board go away. Okay? So
Thank you all.
When
Have a
is the next
wonderful
meeting?
afternoon. What's left of it. Have a nice day.